Finding Meaning in the Second Half of Life by James Hollis. Audiobook summary and review by StoryShots. Midlife is when the universe stops fooling around and grabs you by the shoulders. Introduction. You spent the first half of your life building a resume, checking boxes, meeting other people's expectations. Now you wake up and realize none of it means what you thought it would. That restlessness you feel is the soul's rebellion. Finding Meaning in the Second Half of Life by James Hollis proves that midlife is not a crisis to solve, but an invitation to finally become who you actually are. When the old story stops working. Most people hit midlife and panic because the script they have been following suddenly feels hollow. The career you chased, the relationship you built, the identity you constructed all worked for decades, and now they do not. That hollow feeling is not failure. It is your psyche telling you the first story was never yours to begin with. You inherited it from parents, culture, fear. The first half of life is about adapting to the world. The second half is about adapting the world to your soul's actual needs. That gnawing sense that something is missing is not a sign you made the wrong choices. It is a sign you are ready for different ones. The question is not how to make life work. The question is what life is asking of you now. Midlife forces a reckoning between who you have been performing as and who you actually are underneath. The shadow you've been running from. You have spent decades building an identity, successful professional, good parent, reliable friend. But every identity you claim creates a shadow. The parts of yourself you had to exile to fit the role, the anger you suppressed to stay likable, the creativity you abandoned to stay safe. The second half of life demands you turn around and face it. What you have been calling your midlife crisis is actually those exiled parts demanding reintegration. What we don't transform, we transmit. The parts of yourself you refuse to face leak into your relationships, your body, your quiet moments of despair. Who you are when no one's watching. Here is the real work. Learning to ask better questions. Not, am I successful, but am I living in alignment with my soul's imperatives? Not, did I make the right choice, but what is my life asking of me now? The second half of life belongs to those brave enough to stop seeking external validation and start honoring internal authority. That means making choices that might disappoint others. It means letting go of identities that no longer serve you, even if they once defined you. Growth always involves grief for the self you are leaving behind. The transition will happen whether you face it consciously or let it happen to you in the form of crisis, illness, or collapse. Midlife is when the universe grabs you by the shoulders and says, I'm not fooling around. Use the gifts you were given. If this changed how you think about midlife, someone in your life probably needs to hear it too. Final summary. This summary of Finding Meaning in the Second Half of Life by James Hollis threads together the collapse of old stories, the confrontation with shadow, and the shift from external validation to internal authority into a single argument. Midlife is not about fixing what is broken, but honoring what is emerging. But the book goes deeper. It explores depression as a messenger, how relationships must evolve when both partners individuate, and how to discern between ego-driven choices and soul-driven callings. It examines how unresolved grief from the first half of life resurfaces in the second, and what it means to live with tragic optimism when the old certainties crumble. We are putting together the full summary of Finding Meaning in the Second Half of Life right now, with a visual infographic and animated video. You can follow the book in the StoryShots app to get it the moment it is ready.